thinking you're going to be throwing a Canada plate on that 68 Cadillac that you're going to be driving around soon? Canada, 52nd state after Greenland?
We know better than that. And here's the biggest reason why we know better. Because Trump was the Republican nominee who's now the president-elect, certified. He'll be the president January 21st officially. And if Canada would have become the 51st state, that'll be more Democrats, because that's the way they would lean. And we know he certainly doesn't want that. So that reality alone shows that it's all pomp and circumstance and much to do about nothing. But what I will say to you, however, Chris, where I would disagree or tilt in a different direction is in this regard. He's a deal maker. He's a ribbon cutter. These are the kind of things people say to describe Donald Trump. They also throw out the words deal maker. They dream, a dreamer, et cetera, et cetera. People can make the argument that at least that's a return to the norm because of what we had been getting from the other side. What were they talking about when they looked at the Democrats and they saw this focus on woke culture, saw this focus on transgender rights and things of that nature, and got us veered in a different direction that made Americans look at this country and say, what the hell are we doing? Where the hell are we going? This kind of language, no matter how frivolous we may think it is, no matter how we may suspect that it's much ado about nothing, at least it sounds like a typical politician talking a bunch of smack, giving us a bunch of superlatives, knowing that it's much ado about nothing. At least America can sit up there and say, now that's normal. We can relate to that. That's familiar to us. And I think that's what you're seeing a lot of people say.
I also, look, I think you're right. And I also think you got to see where Trump's head is, right? This is it for him. I don't buy into this. No, he wants his whole family to take over. We're not a monarchy. He doesn't want us to be one. But he wants to be a great president. He wants to be a great man. And what does a great man do? Big things. What would be a big thing to do? Expanding the footprint of America. I get the ambition. I also get why it pisses a lot of people off, like who's in charge of Greenland and Canada and all the people. But
that's right.
I get where he's going with it. What I don't get, Stephen A., is you're a pretty smart guy. Me, less so. But even I know all these talking heads on television talking about the military and he can't do it and who did he just offend and how did it hurt? I feel like this is exactly what we got wrong the first time he was president.
Well, you could say we got it wrong, but the reality is that that's a lot better than the conversations that we've been having over the last couple of years. That's number one. Number two, when we look at what he's saying, let's take Greenland into consideration. As the way you articulated, knowing what you know, that's one way to look at it. But what about the fact that China and Russia and the United States are all battling for the resources that exist in that part of the country, or that part of the world, I'm sorry. So when you look at it from that standpoint and you recognize you've identified an enemy in Russia for different reasons, of course. You've identified an enemy in China for different reasons, of course. But they're the enemy, and you're recognizing it, and you're going after them. And that's juxtaposed to what everybody was contemplating or speculating about with Joe Biden and what his dealings with China were and whether or not he was in their back pocket, even though Trump was accused about that with Russia for the longest period of time. Then we get now to Mark Zuckerberg and what you were pointing out, and I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation that you had at the top of the show, because as a journalist, as a member of the media for the past 30 years, I think it's absolutely appalling to watch him shift so dramatically the way that he has. But here's the thing. It's also very understandable, because this is a guy that was all about the people, all about free speech, all about free expression and what have you. But then you went about the business of literally limiting conservative voices, of vax skeptics, along with other people. And so you did that, and some people accused you of influencing the election in 2020. Why? Because the Zuckerberg initiative, led by his wife, donated about $420 million to causes that they believe help the Democratic cause. So if you're Trump, you're saying, I remember all of this. I remember how you came at me. I remember how you tried to backdoor me and you helped to facilitate booting me out of office. Well, now I'm back in power. And not only am I back in power, I got my man Elon Musk with me, your competition over at X. So all of a sudden, you're looking at Mark Zuckerberg and you clearly see him, essentially, figuratively speaking, on his knees trying to make amends for some errors that he has made, because the one thing we know that Trump has mastered in terms of its definition as in the dictionary is retribution and reciprocation. Mark Zuckerberg knows this, and he doesn't want to be in this man's path over the next few years. So it's very, very predictable what he's doing. And again, no matter how appalling we may find it, it falls in line with what we've known about politicians and surrogates, dare we say, that capitulate to their beck and call because they know it's something in it for them. You would think somebody as rich and successful as Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't be one of those individuals, but he's competing with Elon Musk, who, by the way, tweeted on X, "This is cool." In other words, you're in the same boat that I'm in. Welcome to the party. Let's all be fruitful and multiply. That's basically what they're saying. It's just that some people are slow to catch on.
The lower third on Fox when they were doing this story was Zuckerberg bends the knee. Should we believe him? So obviously they're seeing it the way you did. You remind me of the line from Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. You do that, there's going to be ramifications and repercussions. That's what Trump was saying to Zuckerberg about putting all that money in Democrat pockets. That's why he put your boy Dana White on the board.
Well, exactly, because you got Dana. So in other words, he's got loyalists to him, and Dana White. I know Dana White personally. I've known him for many, many years, and he's a straight shooter. He doesn't mince any words, and he has no desire to be involved in politics. But to be a part of a board that has such power and influence in terms of information that's disseminated, in terms of making sure that your spin, whatever it may be, may get out. When you're somebody like Trump, let me tell you what Dana White's going to do, and I know this personally. As the man that runs the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, he's going to be preoccupied with doing his job. He ain't trying to come to a bunch of meetings. He's going to want you to come to Vegas, all right? But if you mess with his boy Trump, you're going to have a problem. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. He don't have any time for anything else. He don't have any time for all the political mumbo-jumbo. But if you mess with his boys, one of his boys, you're going to have a problem. If you're his guy and somebody's messing with you, Dana's going to fight for you. I'm a friend of Dana White's. I know he would have my back. That's how he's built. That's the way that he is. And that's why Trump wants him on that board. And that's why somebody like Elon Musk is looking at it and saying, welcome to the party, because this is what is going on right now. He's just greasing the skids and making sure that there are layers that you have to penetrate through in order to touch Trump, which is far different than what you had to do when he was in office from 2017 to 2021. That's what we're talking about here.
Well, this move today from Zuckerberg is certainly a step in that direction and in concordance with your analysis. Stephen A. Smith, I appreciate you very much, and I also have your back because you are my friend. You take care and thank you. Thank you very much. To be continued, brother.
Feelings mutual, my man.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.